What is up, my friends? I am so excited to introduce you guys to these readings today. So fun. This is about how to unstuck your emotions and find happiness, a Four of Cups inspired reading. So how I do this, and I say this in the beginning of the piles because I know some of y'all be skipping through my intros, okay? But I'm going to say it here too. I shuffle the deck a few times and then I find the Four of Cups and the cards before let us know why your happiness is being blocked, and the cards after kind of indicate how we can move forward down the path of happiness. All right. So please know I offer personal and private readings. At this time, I offer an array of different types of breathwork containers, and well, two main different types of breathwork containers. One includes meditation. One leads you in an altered state of consciousness to do deep kind of healing work, deep work, you guys. So if you want to learn more about that, head to the description box and poke around on my website, and make sure you're subscribed to my newsletter if you want to stay in the loop on in-person events, live events, online events, whatever it is. All right, so really excited to get into these readings. This first card is represented by the Zodiac Tarot. This is from the Zodiac Tarot deck. All right, give you that. This is from the Light Seers Tarot deck. And the last one is from, oh my gosh, what is this one? Good thing it's right here. The Wild Unknown. Duh, this was one of my first decks. The Wild Unknown Tarot deck. So you can pause the video on your cards. You can use a random number generator to help you guys. But yeah, also I just want to say sometimes there's not a reading here for you, and maybe this is you're meant to come back to it at some point. All right. Don't shoot the messenger, but maybe there's just not a message for you that I'm meant to deliver just yet. All right, friends, let's get right into these readings. What's up, group number one? Welcome to your reading. I'm so excited for this. I'm really excited for this reading. This is about how to unstuck your emotions and find happiness. All right, so a reading surrounding the Four of Cups kind of energy, maybe a little apathetic, a little bored, just feeling a little stagnant. All right, so how this looks is I shuffle the deck a few times and then I find the Four of Cups, and the surrounding cards gives me a little bit better of an indication as to what you guys are going through. And then I felt inspired to pull a Moonology Oracle, and it kind of summed up what I was intuiting from the beginning. All right, but before we get into the reading, just know I do offer personal readings. I offer breathwork sessions, meditation and breathwork sessions, and breathwork journeys, all of the juicy stuff to essentially help. Everything I do is essentially to help peel back the layers and help settle the mind. And even tarot, it's all about turning up the voice of wisdom and turning down the voice of fear. So yeah, you can check all of my offerings by heading to the description box, and you can subscribe to my newsletter as well to stay in the loop with in-person events, online events, etc. Okay, so group number one, I feel like you guys have recently been through something that maybe you were trying to avoid. It seems like you guys were maybe trying to avoid some sort of destruction that happened, or something falling apart. Maybe something came to the light even for some of you guys that you were like didn't want to come to the light, or but it did because you kind of knew that it would create a lot of havoc. Or maybe you even like asked some questions that you maybe weren't sure you wanted to know the answer to, but you got the answer and everything fell apart. Or, you know, it's just kind of this thing where there's a little bit of like, we wish we could have avoided this happening, but it happened, and now we're in the throes of reaping the consequences of whatever that is, whether it was initiated or instigated by you or someone else. It seems like it probably left you in a state of being a little bit shocked. Oh my God. There. You can see my PJs. Okay, so sorry. a little distracted. But yeah, maybe you guys were just a little bit shocked by what happened. And again, we're trying to avoid it. But the beautiful thing about things like this is, you know, yes, it's the Tower, and yes, it can be scary, but often this card can be known as like the Tower of Regeneration, okay? So what that means is essentially it's only removing those things that didn't need to be in your life anyways, that weren't really adding too much value. It removes things that are faults anyways. And anytime we're avoiding something to some degree because we're afraid of like knowing the truth, or we're afraid of like things falling apart, because what if it like doesn't get better? What if it gets worse? Or we're just like comfortable where we're at. The Tower always leaves us better than we once were, even though it might be a little scary and chaotic at first. I love the way the spread like turned out, because this is essentially what the Tower does, is it moves us from the energy of maybe having some pretenses or facades or living a life that's like not the most authentic, and it moves us into the energy of judgment, where we are more aligned to the things that are truthful for us. We're living in greater alignment with our soul's stream and our soul's wisdom. Okay, so how to unstuck your emotions, how to move forward. You guys, this is really like, I love that this is pretty much the summation of what the Star card is, right? Having faith in your dreams, having faith that whatever this was, maybe to some degree, like this falling apart made you kind of lose hope in terms of like this thing working out, or in terms of like yeah, maybe you were just moving in a certain direction when like a relationship or even a career, and then things kind of fell apart and you were like, damn, like felt like I was moving in a pretty good direction. And now this might have just caused some fears within you to arise, or like insecurities, beliefs that aren't true, beliefs that are trying to suggest to you that you're not as far along as you thought you were, or you have so much more to go. It just seems like almost like disappointment kind of energy, like you thought you were moving in a good direction, or you wanted to keep things as they were. And yeah, maybe there was some lost hope, but that's really what the message that's reiterated here, like literally twice at least, is that to move forward, it's like bringing back the faith in your dreams, and not taking, you guys, most of the things that happen in life aren't because of like what's happening. It's never face value. It's never what's on the surface. It's always something spiritual. We did not come here to like make money and to like do things. Like on one hand, yeah, because the doing inspires like the spiritual lessons and growth, but it's always so much deeper. And so maybe for you, it's not necessarily about like, oh, this didn't work out, or oh, this fell apart, I'm going to give up. Maybe for you, it's really about like, how do we live more authentically? How do we live closer to our truth? How can I let this disappointment, this heartbreak, whatever it was, make me more raw, make me more open to life? And therefore there's less facades. I'm being much more truthful to myself and where it is that I want to go, where it is I say I want to go. And yeah, I feel like if there's any part of you that is like wearing like a facade, or you feel a bit tender or whatever, like that's totally normal. The encouragement is to not let your heart become blocked because of this. Because the heart is truly the portal between heaven and earth, right? The lower 3 chakras, earth, higher 3 chakras, heaven, and the heart sits right in the center of those, right? When we were talking in terms of the 7 main energy centers within the human body, the human anatomy and the energetic body. Right, so we need to have the heart open if we want to ground our higher ideals, our divine ideals onto the planet. And to be being able to ground heaven on earth too, it's like if our heart is blocked, we're not going to be making decisions that are in alignment with our highest truth, okay? So this is, to the best of your ability, how to unstuck your emotions, is to see this as a blessing in disguise that it is, to see this as not taking you further from your dreams, but maybe this is a thing that you needed to stay, or to like push you in the direction you needed to go. Oftentimes, it's so interesting how similar this is to like something that just happened in my partner's life. So I'm going to give you guys a beautiful analogy, because it's like right on the tip of my tongue and it's fresh. He was working with this person they're in the same industry. He was a musician for like 8 years of his life and on tour and stuff. So he met a lot of bands, and he decided to start, like, he was printing his own merch. And so that kind of became like a side hustle. And once he stopped touring and stopped doing music for a bit, that's just became his full-time thing. So he's been doing it for 5 years. He's had to work with someone, however, that is like completely takes advantage of him, like doesn't honor his time, doesn't respect him. He'll like ask him to like help him out with one tiny little thing. My partner will ask someone to help him out with this person with one tiny little thing, and then he'll ask him to do like all of these other projects before, like, and it's like very manipulative, right? And so it's like he used to love what he was doing, but because he had to work with this person, it's like it sucked the juice out of it and kind of put him in this Four of Cups energy, even though he didn't, like it. Okay, so long story short, you guys, I did something. I did a thing. I don't want to divulge too much information, but essentially this person, our mutual friend that he was working with, I told his girlfriend some things, or his ex-partner some things that I felt like, I would want to know if I was in a relationship with someone or considering being with someone. It's things she already knew. She was like venting to me one day. And long story short, the guy got pissed off about it, and yeah, yada yada. Very human, very dramatic, right? And so basically he told my partner that like he doesn't want him to come to the shop anymore, doesn't want to work with him. And this kind of left my partner in like, oh fuck, like this is my livelihood. I need, how am I gonna make this work? Long story short, we finally made the investment for him. We drove all the way down to Dallas, Oregon. Someone like posted like his entire like shop online essentially. And so we pretty much like life pushed us into this corner where it was like a little scary at first, but it was one of those things where on a higher level, this is exactly what we wanted. He had been talking so long about how he couldn't wait to have his own shop and to just like have everything he needs here at the house, so he doesn't have to like rely on this person and be manipulated and be thrown around and taken advantage of, etc. But even while it was falling apart, there was still fear. Like he still wanted to stay in that situation because it was what was comfortable, rather than just like using, which we ended up doing, right? Using this permission slip as a catalyst that it was meant to be, right? And this card kept coming up when I was doing a reading on this situation. This exact card kept coming up, and it was a beautiful way to describe the situation. And within 24 hours to 48 hours of hearing that news, that at first we were trying to avoid and so surprised, like this guy was like taking out his anger of like his own past actions that were coming back to haunt him, taking out his anger and punishing my partner for it, even though he had nothing to do with it, right? So we're like, okay, we don't want these Aries full moon energy. We do not want these kind of people in our lives, that they can't be accountable for, their actions and be decent people, and they're taking it out on, trying to punish other people, etc. Like this is not who we want in our lives anyway. So it ended up being a complete blessing in disguise. And at first he definitely was in this area, but hopefully you guys have someone in your life, if it's not me in this reading, that can support you and that can remind you of what the journey is. The journey is living life on the edge. The journey is we should never be doing things that keep us in a state of feeling like we can't be our most authentic self. We should never be doing things that we don't feel genuinely excited about as much as we can, right? That's the goal, because this is life, right? This is being on planet Earth. It's shitty here sometimes. It's heavy here sometimes. But to the best of our ability, we're not selling our souls. We're not selling ourselves short. We're not staying in environments that are toxic for us, that, we feel like we have to tiptoe around, and that are just like dishonest, and whatever it is for you, whatever this whole situation was that you were maybe a little bit afraid of unfolding and it happened and things were falling apart, is going to lead to really good things, I promise, right? This was my partner's dream, was to be in this space of having everything he needs in our garage. So he's working out of our house full-time, running his business, right? He just needed a little help along the way, like we all do, right? And so, or that little push from life, that conviction that like, okay, like this is working for me. It seems shitty at first, but no, please no. And I can tell you from personal experience, I can tell you from personal observation, it's always in your best interest when things fall apart, I promise. Because when things are crumbling, they're either going to come back together even better. But in this case, I really feel like this is probably not the way things were now, at least, or before, was not something that felt like it was really honoring you and who you know yourself to be. I just want to say lots of moon energy, a lot of Aquarius energy. You could have your moon in Aquarius. This could also just be saying that, you know, it's important for you to like zoom out and have a bigger picture, which is like what we're, you know, what this reading is kind of about. Your reading in particular, group one, is to not like get so focused on what has fallen apart and to see how this is guiding you in a certain direction. Also, because we do have the star coming up and Aquarius energy, I do feel like a big part of this too, what's happening, is to like fine tune you for your purpose even more, like what you're here to give to the planet at this time. So maybe to some degree, this has to do with your purpose, or it's influencing your work in some way, or it's influencing your ability to show up in the way that you want to. But this is going to, essentially, this is going to make you so much better. And it's in ways with this moon energy too that you might not be able to see at first, right? Especially here we have the waxing moon, so you can't really see it, but it'll become more full. You'll see as you make the steps necessary, that are in alignment, that are in the direction of your dreams and a more authentic version of you, right? It'll make more sense why this had to happen. Even if it's not like my partner, where it happened like the next day, we're like, holy shit, like we grounded that, we timeline jumped so quickly, right? If it's not something that's like immediate, it'll be something that you guys figure out, you know, at some point you'll be able to make the connection. But overall, your happiness is currently blocked because you didn't really want this. It's a little uncomfy, right? This thing that's falling apart, that maybe you're trying to avoid to some degree, but at the same time, it wasn't allowing you to show up as your most full self. So bye anyways. And how to move forward is just allowing this to invite you to get more clear on who it is you came to be, and to get more clear, and just to remember nothing happens on this level, on the 3D plane, that our higher selves didn't give the green light to, right? So sometimes it's like we create these scenarios, we feel like we have to create these big scenarios on the 3D plane to like move in the direction that we could have moved a lot like prior to the situation falling apart. It's like this is already where you want to go, the direction you want to go, but it's like life is like, all right, I'm gonna give you a kick in the ass because it's like we're not doing it, we're not just like going for it on our own. But just know that how to move forward is just letting this crumble, being more truthful with yourself, with other people, being discerning of who you're giving your time, your energy to, and to not lose hope. Have faith in your dreams. Know that this is moving you in the direction that you're meant to go, even if you can't see it yet, right? Sometimes that's all it is. That this state of apathy is just like feeling like hopeless, and feeling like life's not on our side. It is, I promise you. And that's something that you're going to have to like develop conviction on your own, right? Through trial and error, through paying attention, how you've always been supported. It's always only gotten better. Your life has only ever gotten better. And when our heart is open, and we're following that open heartedness more and more, that's like, you know, that's just the name of the game. When our heart's closed, we're following more of the mind. That's going to take us in much different pathways, much different timelines than when we're consistently courting our heart to be open and forgiving and moving on and having grace for ourselves and others, etc. It's going to be a much different timeline and a much different unfolding, right? So don't give up. This is a blessing in disguise, dare I say, if I could sum this up, blessing in disguise, all right? Finding happiness in the here and now, following your emotional guidance system, grabbing that cup, you know, following those cups of excitement, following the breadcrumb trail of excitement, and knowing that excitement is your indication that you are on your highest timeline. All right, just follow it in the big and small ways. And yeah, good luck with everything, group number one. You got it. You've got this. What's up, group number two? Welcome to your reading, how to unstuck your emotions and find happiness. I'm so excited for this reading. I've been really enjoying readings lately. So, oh yeah, well, we're on the note. Do you know that I offer personal private readings as well? I've been doing more live readings lately, which is really fun to connect with you guys real time. That includes a 20 to 30 minute reading and then 20 to 30 minutes of coaching. It's an hour total of dialogue coaching. You can ask more questions on the spot. It's really, really powerful and potent connecting with you guys real time. So know that I offer that. I offer record and send off readings. That's about half the price. And then just know too that I offer breathwork and meditation containers where we do pranayama techniques. We go into meditation. These are things that you can take with you outside of the container. So you'll leave knowing 2 to 3 to 4 breathing techniques along with meditation techniques that you can do every day if you wanted to. And so just keep in heart that everything I offer is, it seems if I could sum it up, all the different things that I do in life is to help turn up the voice of the soul and turn down the voice of fear, and different modalities to help confirm and to help root us in our highest path and our highest timeline. All right. So you can find all of that in the description box below. Make sure you're subscribed to my newsletter to stay in the loop for in-person events and online events as well. All right, let's get into this. So group number 2. Interesting, because I feel like you're well on your way to everything you've ever wanted. And what's going on? I feel like there is a feeling that you guys have that if you are going to create the life that you want, you have to be in this like hyper masculine kind of energy. You have to get shit done. You have to hustle. You have to grind. You have to do A, B, C, and D. I feel like there could also be an element of maybe being a little bit like jaded. And I say this with love because I have been there, where it's like, okay, like I feel like I've been doing all the things. I'm you, group number 2, right? And I've been in your shoes, so I feel this, right? You're like, I've been doing all the things that I'm supposed to do, that I feel like I'm supposed to do, and why does it feel like my happily ever after is not here yet? Well, let me just tell you, it is well on the way. For whatever reason, I was guided to look at your bottom of the deck energy, and you did have the sun come up. I'm just going to put that right there underneath the moon, all right? Because the clarity you are seeking, the clarity you want is coming sooner than you think, but it's not going to come until after you're already like making your moves. A big part of your reading and how to find happiness and why your happiness is blocked is because you want the path to make sense before you start walking it, okay? And that's just not what's going to lead you in the direction. All right. So with the moon energy, it's really about trusting your intuition before it makes sense, which is interesting that it's followed by the Queen of Swords because she's very logical. And so what this means though is like the Queen of Swords, when she makes her mind up about something, there's no stopping her. She knows what she wants, and she's very set, all right, in her decision. And so even though you're unsure where your intuition is leading you, by you just like feeling that nudge to move in a certain direction and being like, okay, I'm so convicted, this is where I'm supposed to go, that's where the Emperor energy is going to help you out. That's where that masculine energy is going to help you out. But you have to allow the feminine to guide. The feminine is always the driving ship. The feminine is what leads evolution in relationships, dare I say. The divine feminine is always steering the ship. And the masculine is just like the actions needed to make it happen, right? The lunar part of our brain, the lunar hemisphere of our brain is all about creativity, intuition, the voice of wisdom. The solar, the masculine, is all about the voice of rationality and just like making things make sense, like connecting the dots, right? But the lunar has to come first. The feminine has to come first before, again, we have this solar, this clarity, and things make sense. And so I feel like maybe you're a little bit upset and confused because, I told this to group number 1 too, and I'm going to say it again here. It's never about what's happening on the 3D plane. All right, yeah, we came to Earth to have a 3D experience. 444 on the clock, 444 on the clock, all right? And we have 44 here. Anyways, it's never about what's happening on the Earth plane. It's not about making the money. It's not really about the relationships. It's not really about, yes, those instigate the deeper work and instigate the purpose of why we are here, and it's our spiritual evolution, right? And so it's less about you being punished for anything, and it's more about life is trying to get you to live in alignment with the mysteries, the beautiful mysteries, and that's where the magic is, where we're showing up at the right place, the right time, meeting the right people. We don't know how it works, but we just know that it does, right? So This is like trusting intuition more. And when you do get an intuitive nudge to you move in that direction, right? And it's so interesting. I love that. Like, I really felt the pull because I didn't do this for group 1, but I felt the pull to check out what was at the bottom of the deck. And I love that we have the sun and moon coming up, because oftentimes they seem like different energies, but they're two sides of the same coin, right? And so I feel like it just goes along with the territory of like having those realities that are bright and are full of love and are full of adventure and excitement and prosperity on every level, right? And when we really feel like we're honoring our truth, we don't get that without going into the depths of ourselves and facing our fears and being uncertain. And, you know, that's the hero's journey, right? There's no like hero's journey without the suspense, without the challenges, but being met and the challenges that shape the individual. So the way you're going to go about this, the way you're going to manifest these things, it's like, I love that we have the Queen of Swords coming up because it's almost like an emphasis on, you know, like the Emperor energy, but in a way that is much more rooted in the divine feminine. Like you can still have the, you know, the air aspect, the masculine aspect, but you're mainly living life is emphasizing the divine feminine. I feel like you're probably used to like if things are going to happen, you're the one making it happen. Group number 2, you're the one going after things. It's like I just feel like you have your ducks in a row kind of thing. Like you're cleaning, you're cooking, you're showing up for the things that you're supposed to show up for. You have a good sense of drive. You're really self-motivated. Wouldn't be surprised if you're like physically active in some degree. Like you kind of know, you have an idea of what you want your life to look like, and maybe you're unsure the direction you're supposed to take to get and to like go in that direction. What I love here too about the meditate and contemplate, it's very much so this moon energy, okay? So like I was saying, maybe you guys need to come breathe with me and meditate with me, or this could also just be an indication or just your reminder of whatever gets you in that state of like turning up the lunar aspect of your brain, or at least like doing something where you're not directly focused on like your goals and what you think you have to do. Like take a break, go have fun. Like this journey is meant to be fun. It's not meant to be rigid. If you are trying to get to the end goal is happiness and fun, you're not going to get there with like rigidity and dullness, right? It's like you got to be living that as much as you can already, and it's just going to turn up. I feel like there also might be a fear that like the rug's going to be pulled out, right? Like things maybe be getting good for you, and you're like, all right, how do we take this to the next level? How do we take this to the next level? The next level for you, you're at a point in your spiritual journey, your evolution, where the next level for you is really learning how to go beyond your mind, right? And to get into your heart. It's interesting. I was just getting to this, that we have the heart is locked up here, right? That's like a cup, which represents the emotional aspect. So it's like you're not making your decisions based off of like emotional reactivity. That's not what we're saying or what your guides are saying. But it's like when you know something is like the right thing to do, you know it's where you're supposed to go. Or even if it's tough, it doesn't always mean our emotional guidance system doesn't mean it's always going to feel exciting, right? There's two main ways that we can be sure that we should move in a direction, right? And if these two things aren't present, then you're good where you are. Don't move until this happens, right? So the first is you're terrified, you're scared of it, but you know there's something within you that you're like, I know I gotta do this, but maybe there's like imposter syndrome, or it's a big investment or a big risk somehow, but you're like, I know I gotta do this. Okay, that's one way to know that you should move in this direction. The second way, group number 2, is when you are just so excited about it, right? So the first way, we don't know how it's going to turn out. It feels risky. We're unsure, but we know we got to make the decision anyways, right? That's one. We're seeing that up here. And the next way is you are so excited about it, right? Those are the two main ways that you know you should be moving in a certain direction, right? You're so excited about it. And something else, a tool that you can use if you're unsure, maybe it's like you have a decision to make, or this could just be in general when you're making like a series of decisions. When you sit down and you think about it and you're really honest with yourself and you picture the timelines, which one feels the most alive, which one feels most like this energy, and move towards that, right? you have, if you're considering different timelines and there's one that feels like very excited, even though we're unsure how it's going to pan out, and then we have one that feels kind of dull and like the logical thing to do, the logical thing to get me to the reality I think I'm going to get. If if you chose that way, like what you feel when you're meditating on these different timelines is like what you're going to feel on that timeline. You're intuiting the energy attached to that timeline, right? So if you're choosing a timeline that feels more dull because it's rational, that's going to keep you in this energy. And I feel like that's maybe what you've been doing. And that's why you're in this energy of feeling stuck, because you're like making decisions that are rational, but they're dull. At the same time, you're like going about your life in a way that continues to like perpetuate this dullness, rather than how do we bring the spark back when you're tuning into realities that feel so alive, but it's like, God, it feels so out of reach. Well, that's part of your spiritual evolution at this point, is like going, like, I'm convicting, I am set on this timeline. And I don't know how it works, group number 2, but when you are set on on your direction where you want to go, Terrence McKenna said it so beautifully. It was like nature responds to courage. And when you are bold enough to bet on yourself and to go in those directions that are in alignment of your highest excitement, because inspiration, spirit, the word spirit is in the word inspiration. Spirit has planted that seed within your heart of that spark of the divine in your heart. When you are moving in that direction, I don't know how it works. When you are so convicted, it just always fucking works out. I don't know how. And a lot of the times, it's so funny. A lot of the times where it's been the scariest leaps, but I'm like, I feel it in every cell of my body. This is what I'm supposed to do. It's almost like the very last second. I just saw 12:12 on the clock. The very last second it comes in, or like it makes sense, or like that this step appears just as I feel like I'm about to put my foot down into the abyss, right? It appears. So I do feel like there is some stepping back that maybe needs to be happening, and focusing less on how you think you should get to where you want to get to. And just know that, you wouldn't have the desire to have the happily ever after for no reason. Like, spirit doesn't plant those things in our hearts to be cruel. It is there for a reason. The way that you're going to get there is maybe not how you think. It's beyond what you think, and it's more what you're feeling, and it's more navigating life from those realms. And I feel like in general, you're just going to find yourself making decisions in your day-to-day life much differently too, when you are living by this truth of not doing things because you have to, but doing things when you genuinely want to, like pumping the brakes on that masculine energy and coming back into your feminine, coming back into the dreaminess of life and the hopeless romantic, and all, all areas of life, not just talking about love, but just like dreams coming true, like really betting on your dreams coming true. And focusing less on how do I get it done, focusing more on how do I just be happy now, how can I just like peel back the layers and let the mind settle. And just when the mind settles, it's interesting because there's so much contentment, so much peace, so much gratitude, right, for what you already have, that it's inevitable, like it's just going to amplify, right? Because what we focus on tends to grow. All right, so focusing on that spark within, the God spark within, focusing on what it is that you have now, how you've always been taken care of. And if anything, maybe scheduling a breath session with me, breath and meditation session. And we'll take you deeper into this. And when you do get that nudge, to sum it up, when you do get the nudge to act, even though you might not know why your intuition is guiding you in that direction, act with conviction, and it'll make sense sooner than later. All right. But you're well on your way. I'm sure things are already pretty good for you. But maybe you're just in a point, you're like, how do we take it to the next level? And it's a trust fall for sure. Life is wanting you to trust fall more and more. So I'm going to leave this here for now. Group number 2, you have all that you need, my friends. We'll see you soon. Much love. What's up, group number 3? Welcome to your reading, how to unstuck your emotions and find happiness. A 4 of Cups inspired reading. Before we get into it, I do want to let you guys know that I am accepting personal readings at this time. I've been getting a lot of people getting live readings, which are really fun. It's an hour-long container, and it's the first half about the first half is a reading, a spread, right? Reading your cards to you, and the second half we're talking about it, we're coaching, we're asking more questions. If it comes up, we're getting deeper. It's really fun, it's really potent. I've really been enjoying them. And then I also do offer just your typical record and send off readings. Those are about half the price. You're still going to get a lot of juiciness from that. I offer breathwork sessions, meditation and breathwork sessions, breathwork journeys. I offer a lot, and everything that I do is I offer a few things. I shouldn't say a lot. And those things that I am guided to do seem to have the underlying theme of turning up the voice of the soul, the voice of wisdom, and turning down the voice of fear. All right. So super excited to get into this reading with you guys. So how I do this, I shuffle the cards a bunch of times and I find the Four of Cups. And so the cards on the left represent why your happiness is blocked, and these cards represent how we move forward. And this is just an oracle from my Moonology deck. So it's clear that I feel like you guys are feeling a little stuck because I feel like you're staying in a place that at one point brought you a certain degree of hope, a certain degree of love, a certain degree of like, it made you happy at some point. And I feel like how this is going to apply to everyone is going to be a bit different. But I feel like you are invested in a reality maybe that's, to some degree, you're being asked with North Node and step out of your comfort zone to move beyond. And this might not mean that necessarily you have to move beyond this person or this situation. I feel like it just might be something as simple as you need to bring more life into your life. More life and more like fun and more creativity, more like getting outside of your comfort zone into your current reality. And it'll be clear if maybe you guys are wondering, is this where I stay? Is this where I go? It will be clear the more that you step out of your comfort zone and the more that life breathes new energy in you as you like switch up your routine. It just seems like I'm getting the feeling of just like same thing in and out, day in, day out, kind of the same thing, right? And so I feel like life is wanting you to do something different. Yeah, whether it's with this person or maybe it doesn't have to do with a relationship. Maybe it's just things that you're doing on your own, and that's going to breathe life into every area of your life. But, excuse me, I feel like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. This Aries new moon energy or full moon, you guys, has been insane. I've been up since 3. I almost woke up at 1 and I was like, no. But when I got up at 3, I was like, I can't go back to bed. But it's 6 now in the morning on October 1st. So yeah, this full moon, y'all. But anyways, I feel like it's either that. For some of you guys, it's going to be something as simple as just like switching up your routine, going and taking like a new class somewhere, a painting class or a fitness class, or, you know, just like putting yourself out there more in a different way. And for some of you guys, it really is moving beyond this thing that once brought you happiness, this reality, this situation, this timeline that once felt very promising and charming to some degree. You're being encouraged to like move in a different direction, regardless of which one of those applies to you. And maybe you're not sure which one applies to you. Just starting to do things differently, move differently, and to like go towards those things that are a little scary, those things that you've been wanting to do but maybe like making excuses for. The more that you do that, the more clear it's going to be if you're meant to be where you're meant to be. Okay, you're meant to be where you are because that's where you are, right? You wouldn't be there if it's not where you're meant to be. But if you're meant to stay, I guess is what I mean, then it'll be clear of which direction to go. All right. But how to move forward, group number 3, is it's more of an internal thing. Strength. The thing about strength is, you know, the Chariot is more like the external obstacles when I read the cards. That's how my guides have described it to me. The Chariot's more of external obstacles, and oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And strength is more the internal obstacles. So it feels like a big part of this is just how you're viewing yourself and your limiting beliefs, maybe what you think you can do, where you think you can go. But I feel like as you are walking this path, as you're, going out there, I feel like you're getting, like, I'm getting a sense of like you, like, obviously want to move in the direction of your purpose and do things more in alignment with your purpose, but it might be this thing of like getting in your own way, and overthinking things, thinking like you don't have what it takes, or imposter syndrome. And maybe you're waiting for those things to be gone before you move in the direction that you feel like you want to move in. But the thing is temperance and strength tells a story that you heal those things as you are persevering. You heal those aspects of your psyche as you are walking down those timelines. Don't wait for it to be gone, because you'll be waiting forever. You're never going to do anything, right? But this is like, life is really encouraging you to live more purposefully. And I was watching this cool documentary that a friend told me about. It's like a docu-series on Netflix about centenarians, people that live to 100 and over. And there's like, it's called like the magic of the blue zones. And there's like blue zones on the planet that are highlighted, that are full of people that are like so youthful in their 90s, 80s, 100s, right? And I was just getting to the end of the first episode yesterday, and it was saying how like not just like the food they eat, and how like they don't overindulge, they don't overeat, and they don't have all these luxuries of like chairs and stuff. They're comfy, right? Like, okay, sometimes I go on tangents, but like I don't want to paint a picture in a way that's, I'm trying to paint the picture in a more accurate way, or at least in a accurate way. But anyways, it's not just about like diet, obviously, and that kind of thing, but it's about purpose. It was getting to the point of like, if you don't have a sense of purpose, then you're more likely, like cultures believe, if you don't have a sense of purpose, then you'll die, like even when you're young, right? And so I feel like this is kind of the apathetic energy that you're in, is like, to some degree, the heart is starting to close down. When the heart closes down, we don't have a connection to a higher sense of purpose. When we don't feel like we have a connection to a higher sense of purpose, our heart closes down. It creates this perpetual feedback loop. So I feel like you guys really got to dig deep and get clear on like where you want to go. I do get some, like a sense of like stubbornness from you guys with the Seven of Wands and the Strength card. And I don't think that's necessarily a negative thing when it's channeled in a good direction. Like you guys just aren't going to give up in life in general. Like don't give up on your dreams. But I also feel like maybe sometimes you stick around scenarios, you don't want to give up on people or things that have clearly like served their purpose already and are like doing more harm than good now. And so just, being aware of the things that you do choose to keep persevering at. Like, are you growing? Are you deepening in love? Are you deepening in compassion, understanding, right? Are you lessening judgment, etc.? And so I feel like, yeah, you guys will feel more healthy all around when you have this sense of aliveness and like you're moving towards something that's greater than yourself. We all need to have that, moving towards something that's just much greater than our own lives, right? I do feel like you are meant to be like a light in a dark room for people. You are meant to guide people into like their intuitive heart. And I feel like, it might just be, yeah, like life has just sometimes gets the best of us, and we have to pay bills. We have to like make it, we have to do boring stuff sometimes to like tip the scales. So we're living less of that way and we're living more in the excitement, right? But yeah, I feel like have faith really is really what's coming through, and to not settle and think that life has to just be like just barely getting by, like barely surviving, right? That it can't get much better than this, and if it does, like it's for a few people and it's not you. It is meant for you, and I just feel like life is trying to breathe new life into you and to get you out of your comfort zone, is really like to get you like talking to people and carrying yourself differently and doing the things that you say you want to do. Starting now, don't wait, like start doing it now. Like it's so interesting, we want a life of happiness, but it's like we're willing to but we like live our lives in a way where it's like we're rigid and we're doing things we don't want to do because we think it'll lead us to happiness. Do you hear how that sounds? Like, if you want to live a life of happiness, you just have to start being happy and doing those things that bring you happiness, that don't drain your energy, you know, those things that are giving to you, and breathing life into you just as much as you're breathing life into it. And so I do feel like this is one of those things where maybe you've been in this energy for some time, maybe not, but it really is like kind of simple, and it's continuing to be in that zone of stretch, right? That zone where you're doing things that are scary and you're doing things that are exciting. Maybe sometimes it feels like it's both, but the scary things, you're doing the scary things that you know are going to lead you in the direction of like allowing yourself to adopt narratives that are in greater alignment with the truth of your soul and who you came here to be, right? And then you're leaning in those directions that are truly exciting, and not being afraid to ask for what you want, not being afraid to like just be clear with yourself and be clear with other people. If you want someone in your life, fucking tell them, you know, like we don't have to play these games with life and feel like we're like we don't want to be attached or whatever. You know, it's cool to have feelings, it's cool to have a heart, it's cool to like navigate this journey with love and wisdom, not just wisdom where it's like, I'm gonna be detached from everything. That's not, I feel like, who you came here to be, right? Temperance is like about balancing things that seem like they don't go together, love and wisdom, right? Two sides of the same coin. But when you have one more than the other, I feel like that's where things get a little tricky, but that's just a different story for a different day. So all to say, life is just really wanting you to, you know, not do things just because it's what you've been doing, but do things because it's at the end of the day leading you in this bigger picture kind of direction. And if where you've been at is leading you in that direction, then great. And if where you've been at is like old and stuck and stale, maybe try doing things differently, carrying yourself in a different way for a bit, and seeing where life takes you from there. I just feel like switching it up and just like getting out there and doing those things, pushing yourself, will let you know if like this is where you're meant to stay, or if you really are meant to like go in this new direction completely. All right, so group number 3, I'm going to leave this here for now. I hope this brought clarity, confirmation, and peace to your heart. Do the thing that scares you. Lean in that direction. Investigate it. You have everything you need, my friends. Much love.